usually cut really amazing intros for my guests, but I'm going to get straight to the point with my next one. He is one of the top ranked MMA prospects on the entire East Coast, and he's just a bad dude. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say. Robert Varricchio from Tiger Schulmann's MMA is joining me today. Thank you for being here, my man. It's been a thing we've been trying to line up for a while. Glad we're finally here to do it. And I first and foremost wanted to say CFFC 113, dude, you made a statement in that fight. Walk me through your performance. I was very impressed, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on that fight that you had.
Well, first, man, I'm happy to be here, man. I'm glad we finally got a couple of seconds to talk and be a part of this. That fight, I was upset. I was upset with my performance personally. I'm not one to go out and slip like that, but I wasn't able. I think it was all new canvas. I wasn't able to go out there and feel the canvas out before the fight. So when I threw that first kick and I fell, on the ground, that dude's grip, Jesse's grip was just, he had that cross grip on my wrist. I couldn't break the grip. But I knew going into the second round, I had to kind of get something back. So I went for the takedown. Hit the ground and pound towards the end of the first round. I knew I had confidence to win. Second round, went for a takedown. Started setting up the body shots with the jabs to look for the overhand right. Third round, I saw it clean, and I just hit him money on the chin. It's all wrote,
What I love so much about this fight is when you look at your entire career, going back to when you're an amateur to when you made your pro debut, there's a huge difference in competition from these first guys that you fought compared to Majeski. Majeski's a guy, a lot of people look at his record and they probably don't think a whole lot of it. But when you dig deeper and when you really peel back that onion, you look at these guys that he's lost to. He's a very solid fighter, in my opinion. I don't think he gets the respect that he probably deserves. He's lost against you. He lost against Thad John, and then he lost against Piersma. So none of those guys are scrubs. All three of those guys are fights that a lot of guys probably avoid. So when I looked at him and I saw that you were matched up with him, I'm like, wow, props to you for taking the fight because he's a tough dude. And then props to him for taking the fight against you. I was really excited about it. I mean, were you expecting just like a grudge match against this guy? Because there's a lot of things that I think he does really well.
Yeah, I mean, I knew he was a great grappler going into it. That's why I was trying to stay off the ground. But I knew that, I grappled with some of the best grapplers in the world, like, Manchakera. I grappled with Dylan Dennis. I grappled with like some of the best grapplers, East Coast. So I knew the minute he got on top of me, he took my back. He wasn't as, like deadly as my friend Munch. Mm-hmm. So I was expecting good jiu-jitsu, but I wasn't expecting anything that I wasn't used to before. But I was not expecting him to be that goddamn strong. He was fucking strong, dude. Jesus Christ.
I mean, well, I will say this though. I also recall watching that fight. I felt like that was the turning point in the fight to me, where I think you took his legs out. You were able to take that round, and I think most importantly, frustrate him.
Yeah, that first round, like when he had my back out, he had a weird behind my back arm wrap on me, and when I stood up and I tried to stand up to kind of break off that grip, he came up with me, took the back, and I stood up against the cage. Right at that point, he was just squeezing on my chin, which is why you could tell on my face I wasn't I was calm, I was collected, I was patient. I knew that if I just kept fighting the grip, get my chin down, shoulders up, that I'd be okay. But yeah, that was a turning point. I think that definitely did kill his legs out, because going in the second round, his legs, he was a lot slower than he was going in the first.
One of the things I always am interested to see when I think of Tiger Schulmann's MMA, and I have a pretty good understanding. I've had a lot of your teammates on the show. I have a pretty good pulse on what that gym's about. We're talking about mixed martial arts, but when I think of Tiger Schulmann's MMA, I think it's striking right away. And you'll never, just given the background of that gym, that stereotype's always going to be there. So when you see a guy like you get matched up against a guy with really good jiu-jitsu, it always what everyone's going to say on the outside is all these guys, all they can do is strike. And what I most liked about it is you demonstrate a lot of other areas of mixed martial arts, not just striking. And going into that fight, You already talked about your jujitsu prep, but can you talk about just like wrestling and jujitsu and how you train for that, and what is it like at Tiger Schulmann's MMA? It's a gym we all think about striking firsthand. What are the other elements that you guys are working on that people don't necessarily talk about?
We are definitely well known for our striking. It's no doubt about it. You see people like Shane Burgos and Julio, like Golden Glove champions, amazing strikers, all these knockouts. But we have we have gotten so much better at wrestling and jiu-jitsu. Ever since manager Carey came to our gym to start teaching jiu-jitsu, our grappling has elevated to like leaps and bounds. We have probably one of the best wrestling coaches this side of the East Coast teach us on Sundays at Renaissance Wrestling. So I mean, we are a very well-rounded team. It's just that look, we're better at striking, so we're not gonna go to the ground. There's no point. Why fix something that's not broken? If I can knock you out, I'm gonna knock you out. That's if I have to use my grappling, I use it. But I haven't really had to use it yet. You know what I mean?
3 fights, 3 knockouts. You're man of your word. Like you're getting these guys out of there. You're a very, very exciting fighter to watch. Mentally, when you're getting ready for CFFC 113, was that something that you had to like mentally prepare for? And the reason why I say that is when you're fighting the first 2 guys that you fought, it's like I expect somebody like you to knock these guys out right away. But going into this one, it's like, wow, okay, yeah, he got a knockout in his last MMA fight. His first 2 pro fights, he was able to knock these guys out. But now it's supposed to start getting harder. And I wasn't expecting you to be able to finish Majeski. I thought you would win. I didn't think you'd be able to finish him. But this is something that you probably had to like visualize and mentally prepare for. I'm curious, like, how did you mentally prepare for this fight? It was a big stage. A lot of people were watching.
So I do a lot of in my head. I do a lot of manifesting. So like when I'm doing like sprints on treadmills and I'm doing like hard pad work, all I visualize is what I'm gonna do in the fight. And when I feel like I'm getting fatigued and I'm tired, I think of that one big shot. I knew I was gonna finish him. It was just a matter of time. Like he was a strong dude, but I train for everyone like they're world champions, no matter who they are. Like my second fight to do was 0-3. I didn't give a rat's ass. He was 0-3. I was trained like he was the best in the goddamn world, and I went out there and I finished him in 36 seconds because I was prepped for that. I don't take any shortcuts no matter who I'm going with. So he could be 3-0, he could be 0-3. I train the same way. I train just as hard as I can every single time. Mentally for the CFFC, I knew it was probably the biggest stage so far. I knew I was gonna be in UFC Fight Pass. So I made sure that when I went there, I was in the best shape of my life. I had the best camp of my life for that fight. I started working with Eric Pena. He does like UFC nutrition, and I made sure that my diet was on point. I made sure everything was on point because I wanted to make a statement.
I think you definitely did that. I want to see you fight again. And
Yep.
a lot of people, despite you being a really nice guy, they want to fight you too. And I put this, I made an announcement on my Instagram page that you're going to be a guest on my show. All of a sudden, Richie Lewis wants to fight you now. Can you talk to
Yeah.
me a little bit about that? Was that something that you kind of expected? Have you and Richie kind of been chirping at each other for a while? Like, what's up with that?
Honestly, I had no idea who he was until that post. He seems like a cool dude, man. I saw the post. I laughed a little bit. I'm like, he's a good fighter, man. He's 3-0 just like me. I'm 3-0, but he's a high caliber fighter. I'm a high caliber fighter. I don't know why he wants to fight me for $1,000 to fight, $1,000 to win. I'm like, bro, you want to fight for money? We want to build our records up, fight at the top level. I'll fight him there. High caliber fighter deserves high caliber pay. So if I was gonna fight him, I'd fight him someone maybe the contender series,
Mhm.
maybe in the UFC. I know, but I wouldn't take that risk for something so low level. But I do definitely want to fight him in the future. I did appreciate the respectful call out though. I'm not gonna lie, that was cool. I never been called out before, but I've also never been respectfully called out before. It was kind of cool. It made me smile. He seems like a cool dude.
Hey, I get that vibe from him as well. I want to see that fight one day. I can understand where you're coming from as well, because that's a very, very difficult fight to have to prep for. And here's the reality: you beat a guy like that. I don't think that's enough to take you to the next level anyway. You're still doing it for $1,000 or $2,000 if you win. Is that really, like, when you take into account all of those factors, when you know you're going to go to CFFC again after that fight anyway, does that really make the most
Mhm.
sense right now? I guess it's up to your
Mm.
perspective, but hey,
Yeah.
I respect him
Well,
for
I mean,
the call out because you're a dangerous guy to call
yeah,
out.
it was cool. It was cool. I mean, if we were like, like 5 or 6, at that fight would bring me to like a contender series,
You
then
got to do it
honestly,
then.
I
Yeah,
would
you
do it.
got to do
I
it.
would do 100%. But I mean, we're still 3-0, man. That's a big risk. I know it's like, oh, Rob, you sound like a bitch, but I'm like, it's cool. Look, we're professionals here. We gotta be smart. We gotta be smart with our time. We gotta be smart with what we have, and I wanna make it big as.
Your 2022 was amazing. 2 fights, 2 knockouts. I think you did probably exactly what you thought you would do. Now, as this year comes to a close, we've got 2023 coming up. What can we expect out of you in 2023? Do you have a timetable for when you'd like to fight again?
Yeah, well, I wanted to get back more in 2022, but at my fight in February, I actually fractured my ulna.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's why I only fought twice. I want to fight a lot more. Um, so after my last fight, I threw a spinning back fist like an idiot, and I hit my own again. There's like a big bump. So I re-injured a little bit. So I took the time off for the holidays, kind of make sure it's 100%. And my physiotherapist, my doctor said it's all good. He said, next year I'm able to go back strong. I want to fight 2 more times before the summer, maybe even 3 more times. See, depends on how tough the camp is, how tough the fight is, and then hopefully by the summer, I get the call to Dana White's contender series and make a name, make a stand for myself, make it to the big show by the end of the year. That's how I want my 2023 to go. That's what I'm hoping for.
And you know what? From what you're saying, it would have been like I would be like, there's no fucking way. Probably like 5 or 6 years ago, the lightweight division was completely stacked in the UFC. It
Mm-hmm.
still is stacked, don't get me wrong, but it's not like you're 135 pounds. The
Yeah,
pathway to making it to the UFC in the 155-pound division, I think it's a lot more wide open than what people think. You see a lot of
yeah.
guys that are starting to cycle out. They need more and more lightweights to come in. Um, and I don't really see a huge difference between these guys that are on the contender series at 155 pounds and you. I'm not really seeing that. I think it's really going to only be a matter of time before we see you in the apex.
Yeah, I've been keeping up on that entire series. Every time it's on, I watch it, and every time I watch the 55 is, I'm like, come on, So where I mean, I got a lot of we have a lot of good talent over at Tiger Showman's right now. So I'm training with some of the best fighters in the world, and they give me the best looks possible. So if I keep it up with them, I'll be there in no time.
Hey, I have to shut this guy out. I can't help it, but your teammate Ryan Burgos, that guy's a fucking animal, and
Yeah,
and people do not know about that guy yet. Only like a few select people really know about him, but I'm
yep.
just like, oh my god! Like I see this kid fight, and I'm just like, man, like, and people would laugh at me if you don't know him, if you've never seen him fight, if you don't know anything of him, you would laugh at me for saying this. But I look at some of these flyweights in the UFC, I'm like, oh, they're ranked. Ryan could freaking work that guy
Yep.
100%, and people would
He,
laugh at me. That's a crazy thing to say, but he's that
yep.
good.
He's probably one of the most well-rounded fighters I know. Like, his wrestling is something else, and he has a gas tank like no other. He'll make it big. He actually, I have a feeling he'll be the 125 champ. To be honest, 100% he'll be the 125 champ.
I would be surprised if it didn't happen. Like
Yeah.
whatever organization he ends up being in, expect great things. But I'll be expecting great things from you too. I really appreciate your time. And before I let you go, I know that you got a lot of people that support you. So if there's anyone that you want to shout out, want to give you the opportunity to do that before I let you go.
I just want to first of all, want to shout my family for putting up with me. My sister always makes like my nutrition meals for me like throughout the week. Like if I'm like cheating, which I do all the time, she brings me food to the school, and she basically keeps me hydrated. My brother keeps me with like my mentality. Like, I'm going through like a bad breakup right now, so like like my emotion and like my mind is not really in it. So my brother's been through that. He has that season experience. He's kind of keeping me intact. And then my teammates, they keep me up, dude. Like, when I'm training, man, there's no one else that keeps me motivated than them, see how good they do. So, I love it.
Hey, Mr. Robert Varricchio, thank you so much for your time.
Of course.
We'll be doing it again very, very soon.